Hi, I'm Brian Thompson from East County Guns, and I want to talk to you today about NPEs, or Non-Permissive Environment Tools. You guys probably already know us here in CDA for our huge knife selection, but we also have non-permissive tools, which are often non-metallic tools, something that you could take into a non-permissive environment where an environment might be more restrictive, like you're in another state other than Idaho, and you can't take a knife into a fair or your normal EDC equipment. You can use an NPE. The first time I'd heard about NPEs was in a film called Bourne Identity. Jason Bourne, played by Matt Damon, warded off a would-be assassin in a Paris apartment. And I saw him pick up a ballpoint pen and defend himself. And it was the first time I'd thought about other tools that you could use defensively. Tools that in an environment where they don't allow you to use knives or guns, you would be able to still defend yourself and use whatever kind of self-defense strategy you might use in terms of hand-to-hand as kind of a force multiplier, something that could be carried around in a non-permissive environment, but that's something that's really going to help that self-defense strategy. And so shortly thereafter, I started to see on the marketplace hidden pens with maybe reinforced with steel or micarta. I started seeing non-metallic tools that you could carry kind of as an added defensive tool, just in case you need to take off your handgun, take off your edged weapon, or your primary self-defense tools. A part of those NPEs and some of the things that we carry here in the shop would be Black Triangle. I've carried them for multiple years. They offer a full line of non-metallic tools with different designs. And pay in mind, you should think about the different designs and how they're used. For instance, when I select an edged weapon, a sharp steel tool, as a defensive tool, maybe to use with my not weak hand, but support hand, my other strong hand, on a support side to gain space so that I can get to my primary self-defense tool, probably my handgun, so that I can fight my way to a rifle. They have different uses, and they're going to be a full force multiplier in different ways. So we want to think about how they're designed. When I pick a steel tool, like this one here, Yojimbo, great backup EDC knife, but it's a half broken knife, right? It has a weakness pin, so maybe I can choose something like a fixed blade, where I don't have that weakness point and I can use many of the same techniques, but if the state allows me to, I can carry a fixed knife. Knives only do three things. They stab, they slash, and they chop, but they generally only do two things well, right? And of those two things, they probably have a primary use. Same with NPEs. Just like this one made by Black Triangle does great as a punch, right? So I can get that space in my support hand, punch, and use that to get space. But some of these are only going to be maybe pain compliance. Someone grabs a hold of me and I'm in an ice pick grip, I can go down and get them to release. Or I can use it to get someone, if they've grabbed my child or my wife, to get them to release off really, really quickly before I use my other self-defense strategies. So NPEs generally, they can rake across the face, we can stab with them, and we can also use pain compliance. But they don't necessarily, depending on design, do all three of those really, really well. So you're going to want to choose based on your training and how you would deploy said NPE to make sure that it's the correct force multiplier for you. Also, they have different sheaths. Some are tearaway, some have these EDC clips. I am a big Black Triangle fan, mostly because they use a bungee system or shock cord system, so that when it's mounted in the body, I find it moves with my body. That clip will move, and it can be a little bit easier on my body. Also, I've found that like Shivworks, which has incredible NPE tools as well, very robust, but they have a plastic locking system, and I've just had friends that had a few models where they crack, they lean over and it just hits the sheath wrong. And so that's kind of a weakness point for me. However, the tool itself is very, very high quality. But Black Triangle, I've had this Senka for a long time. I also really believe in having a trainer, something that you can go with a friend, think about how you're going to deploy that NPE, how you're going to be able to bring it to bear, and the kind of grips you're going to do. We all know saber grip, right? Hammer grip, maybe a Filipino grip to get leverage, right? We've got an ice pick grip, reinforced ice pick grip, maybe a punch grip or something like that to be able to use it to its most efficient and powerful use, right? We want to be able to use that, maybe the 2 is 1, 1 is none kind of principle. So a lot of times I carry an NPE even if I have a pocket knife, even if I have a handgun on my person, just as another tool on my tool belt. Just like law enforcement would have mace, would have a baton and a firearm, they have different levels that they're going to engage in that self-defense situation, and NPEs are a great tool to add to that. There are many brands on the market. Like I've said, I really appreciate Black Triangle and their products. There is also, like Revenant Core makes an awesome pain compliance stabbing and raking tool. They have this hook on the sheath so you can basically lanyard it to a belt loop or a belt and be able just to rip and deploy that out. Ice pick grip is probably one of the strongest positions for that. So if someone's grabbing a hold, you can use that pain compliance to take care of that person, or defend yourself, use that tool to get space. It's very, very strong and robust. You see how thick. So that's a great tool. Black Triangle also has their own version with this thumb rest up here, thumb support, and that really aids in that ice pick type grip, right? To where in a support hand, right, our other strong hand, you can cover and do all the things that you were trained to do to get to your, in maybe an EDC situation, your primary, the secondary weapon system like a handgun, but you still have the ability to strike back and gain more space. Very, very strong, really thick, well-designed product. Really strong angles. Remember, they're not steel, so we need to reinforce that through geometry rather than just having a really sharp exposed edge. They're not going to cut, right? They're going to do what they're designed to do, which is rake, pain compliance, and stab. And so that's another great tool. One of my favorite from Black Triangle, and I was lucky enough to get a special edition of it, is the Donovan. I think it's a good size. Its namesake from a director of the OSS, a precursor to the CIA. Really cool tool. You're able to saber grip maybe in a kind of a Filipino style modified, where you still have enough exposed to do a lot of stabbing power. You're getting a lot of leverage as you extend from your thumb muscle on that point. And I think the geometry is really, really powerful. Again, I really believe in trainers. So if you have a jiu-jitsu program or some kind of hand-to-hand program, being able to bring one of these safe tools into that environment and work with a partner on how it might be best employed, I think that's a great tool. Also, something to think about, and of course we sell different varieties of these, but just average-looking objects that have been reinforced with a micarta insert, something that seems really simple that you can keep in your pocket, etc., and deploy. We sell a few of these in the shop as well. They're NPEs, but even more undercover. It's something that can be in the public eye versus having maybe a Black Triangle, something like this, you've got to cover up. There's also, if it's a real non-permissive environment and you're not just worried about its non-metallic nature to get you through security, but they might be feeling the waistband, etc. Of course, these objects can be taped to the body in different places and hidden not in the classical means. And that's where these come into handy, where like this pen, for instance, has been reinforced with the micarta, so it's not just a ballpoint pen, like the Born Identity story that I told earlier. Also, something to think about, your flashlight. Does it have knurling? We call them DNA collectors. Does it have something with a little bit more bite on it? I also pick up this kind of technique a long time ago where I can easily clip that onto my pants, but I've got just with some electrical tape and some heat shrink, I've put on this rubber band, this shock cord, so that I can keep that in my hand. That way, if I bring the gun to bear and I need to do a reload, I can let go of the flashlight, do that reload, and I've still got this, which just in the category of NPE is a tool that I can gain space with. So I'm thinking about my EDC, I'm thinking about the different levels, different tools, how I might engage with them, and a flashlight, I think, is a part of that. I've also seen a lot of guys get really creative with different tools that they've 3D printed that are just a normal writing tool, but have more of a grip, maybe pain compliance on that first knuckle, as well as the benefit of striking with a normal pen. This is just a normal Papermate pen inserted into a 3D printed single knuckle self-defense tool. So there's a lot on the market. Here at East County Guns, we have a huge selection of knives and tools. We're often called kind of a knife shop with a major gun problem. As you can see behind me, we have all the firearms that you'll need. We do custom builds with ARs, etc. And I think it's just really cool that we can offer such a unique product like an NPE here in East County Guns. We really appreciate all our customers at East County Guns, especially in the CDA store. I'm in beautiful Coeur d'Alene and would love to help you. A lot of our staff have great experience in the private sector, military, law enforcement background, a lot of martial arts background, medic training, etc. And we'd like to go over what you're looking for in terms of edged weapon or maybe NPE here in the shop and how it might fit into your self-defense situation. Remember, it is a dangerous world. We're in a unique time. Things are getting more violent, and I would just recommend that people think and take personal responsibility for their safety. We don't want to fearmonger. We'd just like to equip you with the tools that you need for peace of mind. Everything from the NPEs, edged weapons, fixed blades, ARs, handguns, and so forth. We have a huge selection down at East County Guns, and we'd love to go over those options with you and build a total package in terms of self-defense, not only for EDC to and from work, but also something in the home. I'm Brian, and I appreciate showing you all these NPE tools and some of the options that will help you in your personal defensive situation. Please come down to our shop on Government in CDA, beautiful Idaho. We'd love to help you with any of your edged weapon, NPE, and firearms needs.